I'm sitting here tying up this morning. Didn't get a chance to tie up last night. I smell campfire smoke. You know what that means. Ready running guns, time for blast off. Let's go. Well, good morning, Bassin buds. Todd here with you. Welcome back to Bassin 101. I'm sorry if I sound down. But two things. One, we got a squatter up here. But number two, the one bait that I really wanted to bring out here and try this morning, I left at home. You know, I don't have my box put together yet. I'm still simplifying my tackle. And I hand tied some marabou and feather jigs. And I swore I put them in the bag. Didn't even bother to look this morning because I just habit putting stuff in the bag. Left it at home. So no bottom bouncing baits today. I do have three. First one I've got is an old 1/4 ounce pre-Rapala Hottentot in the green crawfish. The other one I've got, how many of you guys on YouTube see this bait? A Mepps number 4. Just a standard silver and white. That's about a 3/8 ounce. Number 4 is a 1/3 ounce, so that's 3/8. And a Rebel Pop R. This Tennessee shad color, we got just a little stain to the water. Got about 3 foot of visibility, so that Tennessee shad will be just fine. But man, I was really wanting to throw that marabou jig too, man, because I'm up here at the rapids. I really want to tick that thing along the rocks. And, you know, the rocks and the brush that we have here is I've got a weed guard on it and everything. Terry Bradshaw would say, But yeah, I got a squatter up here. He's sound asleep. He must have partied out last night. And guys, he's got this place trashed. I mean, how one guy can do this, I have no clue. Let me get around the corner and I'll show it to you. Forgive me if I'm quiet when I do the video. Look at this, guys. Look at this. Got himself a little home built up there, doesn't he? But good grief, man. He's got this place absolutely just trashed. That is really sad. That just pisses you off, don't it? Man, get a job. Yeah, I'm not going to make this a rant. It is what it is. So, I'll throw me this storm for a little while. It's actually quite calm for rapids. So I'm able to throw this stuff pretty good out here. Plug away, see what happens. You know, the sad part is I keep hearing a noise up on the hill right behind him. Apparently he's got a dog tied to a tree and it's gotten wrapped up on the tree and sitting there whining. That's a shame. That is. That's bad. Wow! Excuse the dog complaining in the background. Guys, this dude chomped this Mepps spinner 5 feet from the canoe. 5 feet from the canoe, man. I mean, just chomped it. I like to never got him in. That's every bit of 2-pound smallmouth. Look how fat he is. Good grief, thank you so much. Wow. On a Mepps spinner. They are it's a number 4. I mean, he just came up like a bolt of lightning. I was getting ready to pull it out of the water. He was right in front of a brush pile. He was probably not even 2 feet of water. It took me all the way down the bend. Got 14-pound XT on here. And a bait casting outfit. I made this is a 610 medium light that I built. I built 2 of them. Basically, they're colored a little bit different. I'll explain all that in a video down the road. I basically made this for cranking in top water. And I mean, man, he just come out of there and just annihilated. I saw him come up. I had the bait about 6 inches underwater when he hit. Man, that was fun. That was fun. I was getting ready to leave out of here too. Because I was tired of hearing that dog whining. Here goes the choo-choo train. Another fish. Largemouth. Oh, he just came off too. Largemouth in that slack water. How about that? Thank you. I'll come back. Thought I'd give you an idea how close that train is to me. It's not even 100 feet away from me. Sorry about the noise, guys. But man, 2 back-to-back on a Mepps spinner. And this is a lure you don't see anybody fish on YouTube. I've always loved Mepps spinners, man. Yeah, the thing about a Mepps, this is the bucktail version. I actually want to get the marabou version. I like the marabou better because I like to kind of flick the bait a little bit. And the marabou just moves better. But yeah, there's a lot of inline spinners on the market. I know you guys are going to have your favorites. And I understand that. And one thing you don't want to do is put a swivel in front of a spinner. That's one thing you don't want to do. It hampers the spinner's action because it allows the line to move. And spinners will twist your line. But I have found that the Mepps spinner is the least of all of them. And I can pull it out of the water, hold it up, and it barely even spins. I know some of you guys are big fans of rooster tails. I'm pulling a rock or a log. Hear that dog is still going. That guy's not waking up from nothing. That train didn't even wake him up. He must be deaf. I don't know. But I know you guys like rooster tails. Rooster tail's a good spinner, but it will twist your line. It'll twist your line pretty bad. But if you use them and you like them, keep using them. I'm not going to tell you not to use them. What you got confidence in. And there's also Panther Martin. Panther Martin is also a good inline spinner. But it'll twist your line. Anytime you have a blade mounted on a shaft, like a Panther Martin, it'll twist you up. So that's something you want to be aware of. I'm getting in position now. I'm going to float back out of these rapids. I want those Mepps spinner a little bit more on these shallow rocks. See what else happens. Got me a long ear. Beautiful fish there. Look at the coloring. But that'd be fun to paint on a crankbait, wouldn't it? Something else about a Mepps or inline spinner in general. Don't overpower this bait. You don't want this bait up into the water this far. Because what happens is when he comes up, he's pushing water against that bait and he'll push it right up ahead of him. And you'll miss him every single time. Keep the hooks razor sharp. And when I cast it, I actually let it sink for about a second before I start, because I'm fishing about 3 or 4 or 5 foot of water here, so I'm gonna let it sink for about a second, maybe 2 seconds. Start my retrieve. You know, a lot of inline spinners, you got to pop that rod before you start to get the blade going. You don't have to on a Mepps. On the Aglias or Aglias, what do you want? How you pronounce it? I think it's Aglia. But yeah, I got a 7-to-1 reel here, or 7-3-to-1. And I'm just, you know, I'm slow cranking it. Which if I was on a 5-to-1 or something, I'd probably doing more of a moderate crank. And every once in a while, just kind of twist the rod. With bucktail, it don't flare very much at all. But if you had a marabou on here, I'm on a rock. But that's something else. These are not weedless. That's okay that they catch fish. I don't know if you can still hear that dog in the background or not. But there we go. But yeah, you don't want it running real deep, because you will stay snagged. You want to keep it about 1.5 to 2 foot under the water. That's a good, comfortable range for a spinner. Like I said, I don't care if you're using Panther Martin, Rooster Tail, Mepps, whatever. I've always been a Mepps person. I just caught a lot of fish off of Mepps, and there's just something about that blade, man. It's got a really good thump to it, and you know, I like it like that. Another tip I'll give you about fishing the inline spinner like this: always fish it on monofilament, because it has line stretch, and if you get snagged, you can do the banjo trick and usually pop that thing loose. So braid's kind of a no-no. Fluorocarbon's kind of a no-no, because you can't do that either with fluorocarbon. If you can find a freaking knot to keep the line from breaking. I got to where I can't stand fluorocarbon no more. That's another video. But yeah, it's if you're fishing on mono, and also fishing on a soft action rod, like a cranking rod. You know, that's what I have here is a cranking rod. I mean, it's got really, really good backbone, but I've got a pretty soft tip. This is graphite. But yeah, definitely a soft tip. I mean, it's just like you would use for, see, there you go. Bam. You know, it's just like with anything, soft action rod, monofilament, because you want to be able to get that lure loose, but you also don't want to lose the fish when you get him by the boat. Like that largemouth, as soon as I lipped him, he came off. Smallmouth was been pretty good. We'll keep on chucking these 3 lures, and especially this inline spinners. You know, see what happens. Nice to be in the shade. You know, I've been wanting to do a Mepps video, you know, as far as in studio. Hey, when I do one on the water, you know, I'll be honest with you, I didn't put all the baits up, put all my rods up. I just got this one bait. You know, if that's what's working. And I've already lost another one. I had one that's barely hooked and lost him. But yeah, this is the bait that's It's probably just the right size and everything. And basically, I'm just floating backwards down the river here. I'm just fan casting right and left. And there's rocks everywhere. There's down trees everywhere up underneath the water you can't see. I do have some stain here. I probably got maybe 3 foot of visibility. So yeah, I'm not fishing it real fast. Like I said, I'm keeping it kind of a slow, moderate pace, twitching the rod tip every few cranks, just to get it to kind of flutter a little bit. Not really a deep water technique. Like I said, I would not fish this in deep water because you will get stuck all the time. You have to keep your plug knocker hanging around your neck so you can get to it easy every time. Not a cover-oriented bait, but you can throw it around cover. Just keep it above it so you don't get hung. I'm just making short, 30, 40 foot casts to the right and the left. Kind of enjoying the shade right now. It gets to where this sun gets pretty good. I got me a special hat I can wear to keep it off my neck anyway. But yeah, we'll keep on chucking and winding. That's something else about a Mepps spinner too. When you throw them, they don't make a big splash. They actually hit the water kind of quietly, especially if you put your thumb on that spool or you stop that line and lay your rod tip down the water like you would a spinner bait. They enter the water quietly just about every time. Rarely do you ever get a splash. But now that I'm heading into deeper water, I've fished about 4 or 5 feet of water now. And that's pretty much going to be the consistent until I get all the way back down to the creek where I came out at. But I've slowed my retrieve down. I'm actually keeping it about 2 feet deep, and I can't see it. So it's kind of like throwing a spinner bait. In a way, you kind of throw it out of sight, or just out of your line of sight. And that's about how you do these things. I'm kind of just giving it, I'm slowly cranking it as soon as it hits the water because I'm giving it time to sink down rather than just free falling. And I'm keeping it about 2 feet deep, and always, guys, crank it all the way back to the boat. Don't get halfway back and burn it back in front of the cast out there, because like that smallmouth just showed a little while ago, 5 feet from the boat, or actually I had about 5 feet of line out when he hit. If they hit and they miss, you can do a figure 8 by the boat like you do when you do muskies. But it's just another tip out there for you. In case you guys noticed, I'm not a big sunglass wearer kind of person, because when you sit low on the water like this in a canoe or a kayak, I just don't really see the need for sunglasses as far as seeing into the water. But I got my big boonie on. Just got this in yesterday. Where it's black underneath, so water doesn't reflect off of it. Just kind of helps on these brighter days. We got a bright day out here today. I'm getting ready to stay in the sun here in a little while. But this is my get her done hat. But hey, it might look goofy, but the beard makes it work. Another thing too, guys, like I was saying about line twist, as long as you don't overpower these baits, it keeps the twist down. It keeps the spinner from wanting to do this. And another thing I'm doing too, before I forget, you notice the sun's at my back. Well, that just happens to be the way I'm going down the river. But whenever you can, try to retrieve an inline spinner like this, a Mepps spinner or whatever, into the sun, because it reflects more off the blades. If I'm fishing at the sun and I'm bringing it to me or whatever, it's not getting as much reflection off the bait. Because you can sit here beside the boat and you can test it. going against the sun and then coming to the sun, and it's just tenfold the amount of difference of flash you get. That's kind of the whole point of this too, is a flash. It makes a sound underwater. I've heard the audio on Mepps' website. It definitely makes a sound. And but yeah, whatever you can, like I'm doing right here. I mean, as I'm bringing it back up to my rod tip, it's just flashing like crazy because the sun's right behind my back. But that's another tip too that you just don't hear a lot of people talk about. Either they don't know it or they just don't mention it. But definitely keep that thing running right towards the sun, like it is behind me, and you'll get a lot more flash out of that bait. Guys, I've got a good smallmouth right here. A good smallmouth. I mean, he jumped. Oh, he just come out of. Oh. First time he jumped out of the water, I saw him. I'm like, oh my gosh. He just jumped again and threw it. Dang. He was bigger than the other one. Well, my hooks are still sharp. I can still grab my thumbnail, so. Man, guys, golly. And I mean, he knocked the freaking paint off of it. Keep on going. Damn. By golly, I got him in. Still kind of green. Not a big smallmouth, not as big as the other one. He's still a pretty fish. Look at that. Beautiful fish. Thank you, buddy. Love the coloring on that one. Nah, man, that one just a minute ago. I mean, that's back-to-back cast right there. Man, just like a minute ago. That bass hit so hard, I came back, and I couldn't move him. At first, I thought I was hung. All of a sudden, he started running. I'm like, oh my gosh. So yeah, I'm kind of anchored right here. I'm out here by the bridge. I can see the mouth of the creek right there where I come out at. But just had to get in a little bit of moving water is what it was, because it kind of speeds up right here with that rock pile. We'll keep on going, and it still breaks my heart about that big one. But hey, that's, that's why they call it fishing, not catching. I got another one, guys. Feels like on a smallmouth. He ain't coming up. Yeah, it is. Get the net on this dude. Come on up here. Good golly, I'm in the same place too. I haven't moved. Come here. Gotcha. Woo! He was actually in the exact same place that big one hit. Another one on the Mepps spinner. Look at that little doll baby. Beautiful coloring. Thank you. And guys, you just don't know when they're hitting this thing. I mean, it's just a dead stop. Now I got a line all kung fu around my rod tip. There we go. Yeah, this is crazy, man. But this is one bait that people don't fish much. I'm just slow cranking it back to the boat. Got a little bit of wind blowing. That's okay, I'm anchored. Something else just hit it. And we got another one. I don't think he's hooked very good. He's jumping out of the water. He's bigger than the other ones. Got him. He came off as soon as he got in the net. As soon as he got in the net. Hold on there, buddy. I won't turn you loose. You know where you're going when I catch you. Huh? You know where you're going when I catch you, buddy. Look at there. Another nice smallie with the colors. Beautiful fish. Thank you. Ah, he almost jumped back in the boat. Kind of train island back here in the background. But I just want to say something about anchoring your boat. One thing I have found on this canoe, guys, it is so much easier to anchor a canoe than it is a kayak. Because a canoe takes less water to float. And when you're moving in current and you put an anchor down there on a canoe, it sets. There's no settling the anchor. There's no bottom moldings that they put on a kayak to give it stability. There's none of that down here. So the water just runs right up underneath the canoe no matter what angle you're sitting at. I like that. Okay, I think I'll call it. Got my butt kicker hat off, but hey, I caught some fish on that butt kicker hat. It's camouflage too, they can't see me. But one thing I want to mention to you guys, anytime that you're throwing inline spinner, and speaking of that, guys, when it comes to inline spinners, always make sure that shaft stays straight, that wire stays straight, because if it kinks, it won't run right, it'll twist your line. But I'm a couple hundred yards from the mouth of the creek here, and I'm going to let out quite a bit of line. And I'll run this for 300-400 yards going up the, or not 300, but 300-400 feet going up the creek here, and it'll get the twist out of my line. You put the reel in gear, let it hang off the side of the boat, and just let it pull. It'll untwist that line as you're going back to the ramp. So that's what I'm going to do here. But man, how about that, guys? Several fish off of Mepps Aglia. That's the best day I've ever had on Mepps Aglia, and I'm glad you were here to share it with me. It's I've caught fish off of those things, and usually windy conditions is always best for some reason. But man, they were knocking the fire out of it today. What a morning! That's a blessed morning. Thank you, Father. That was just a great morning to be out. But I'm going to call it. Head back to the house. So I hope you guys learned some stuff with Mepps Aglia. It's a really good bait. Like I said, if you're a fan of rooster tails or panther martins or whatever, fine. That's great. I've always been a Mepps person, and that's just what I throw. But hey, that's just me. But as far as inline spinners in general, I hope you learned something today. And that's all I got. So until next time, guys, may the Father bless you and keep you in Yeshua's name. And as always, fish on.